Welcome to the presentation. So before we get into, we get a raise of hands on anyone that's heard of FRCDesignorg or has used it. Wow, that's a lot of views. All right. So thank you for attending this conference. I appreciate you waiting in line and seeing the line outside. That is absolutely insane. But yeah, thank you. So my name is David. I run FRCDesignorg, and I do a lot of the course structure. And I'll just hand this off.
Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan. I'm an alum of 3647 Millennium Falcons and a mentor for 9442 MISA Mechanics. I primarily contribute to course and resource development.
So I'm Kelly. I'm an alum and mentor of 1778 Chill Out. I primarily contribute to the learning course and to FRC Design Lab. We have a fourth primary contributor, Andrew Card, who also works on an FRC Design Lab and the website front and back end, but he couldn't make it to the conference session today. So this presentation will cover a few questions about FRCDesign.org. At the basic level, why learn CAD and design? And then we'll go over what FRCDesign.org is, why you should use it, how you can use it for your team, and then kind of the future plans of the website. All right, so raise your hands for who uses CAD for FRC. Right, so put your hand up for everyone who doesn't use Onshape for FRC. All right, so hopefully we'll have convinced you to kind of switch to Onshape because of the resources that are out there, the community that's out there, and the way that FRCDesign.org can help your team learn it. So kind of a quick concept to understand for build season, right? Finish the robot as soon as possible so your team has more time to program, test, and practice with the robot. Learning CAD and good workflow and techniques makes it easier for everyone to collaborate to reach that goal. So you can design your robot more intentionally based off of strategic design constraints and engineering knowledge that you have. You can iterate on ideas before prototyping and manufacturing, minimizing the amount of resources that you need to develop the robot. By modeling everything in 3D space, you can better plan and integrate each portion of the robot. You can help introduce engineering concepts to students more concretely and have them apply them thoughtfully through the design. And then the last 2 points here are, in my opinion, the most important, right? Having everything modeled means you have a blueprint and files to use and instructions for manufacturing and assembling the robot. This especially makes the lives of everyone else on the team way easier, especially if you learn to take into account manufacturing and accessibility and electrical planning when designing a robot. And then, I think I heard Drew mention this in his Onshape Best Practices presentation at the beginning of the event. Whiteboard sketches and hand gestures don't always communicate ideas the best, right? CAD allows everyone on the team to know what the robot is, know what you're planning on designing and building and sending to competition before it's even built. One of the biggest parts to running a successful team is having everyone on the same page, and CAD is special for the way it's able to help with that. So there are kind of two main reasons why our resources and curriculum are centered around Onshape: the features and the community. So Onshape is built for real-time collaboration, right? Like Google Docs. This allows work to be split more evenly for FRC teams, makes the CAD more accessible for people to start learning and contributing. Onshape also works on almost any modern computer, even Chromebooks, so there's no installation or high-end hardware needed. When I was a senior, I did most of the robot design on my Chromebook. It's also built around kind of a top-down design philosophy, something the course gets more into, but it allows you to guide the overall design of the robot based on your criteria, and you can solve integration problems before they become hard to fix. So beside the features, Onshape is a kind of environment, which is almost the bigger reason, right? It has a ton of community support tailored towards FRC. There are custom features. So as you can see, like there are ways to generate belts and pulleys and, box tube, right? You can make your workflow a lot faster by using these custom features made by the community. There's a easy to use parts library. So you cut out a lot of being able to, you cut out a lot of time importing and trying to figure out what you want on your robot by browsing vendors' websites. You can just go straight into the library. It's native and Onshape, right? Or it's something you have to add, but you can spend your time looking there instead of having to look somewhere else. And then kind of the biggest part that we're hopefully contributing to is the learning resources. There's a large variety of learning resources that are able to help train students from any background or any level of knowledge to be able to make top-tier robots.
Yep. So what exactly is FRCDesign.org? First and foremost, FRCDesign.org is a learning course for CAD and design in Onshape, designed specifically for FRC. The course is divided into 4 stages, but students can begin contributing to Robot CAD even after completing just one stage. And afterwards, they'll continue building skills through the later stages. The structured progression puts the whole design team on the same page. Team members will know exactly what skills others have or haven't based on what stages they've completed. Furthermore, the course is built around learning by doing. Students are introduced to CAD and design topics and immediately apply them through guided exercises. Stage 1 focuses on CAD fundamentals using Onshape and FRC specific tools. Students follow step-by-step instructions to model a variety of parts, starting with simple models such as this tube and gusset structure. Then they're introduced to power transmissions and learn how to model belts, gears, and chains, and apply them to a couple of different gearboxes, such as the one on the top right. Next, students work through CADing 8 different exercise mechanisms, one of which is this telescoping climber on the bottom left. And through these guided exercises, they further refine their CAD skills. The stage concludes with a full detail swerve drive base, complete with bumpers and electronics. By the end of stage 1, students will be ready to contribute to simple robot mechanisms with some guidance from student leads or mentors. In stage 2, students are introduced to mechanism design. They'll explore several common FRC mechanisms: a shooter, a pivot, an intake, and an elevator. Through these mechanisms, they'll learn about the key design decisions involved in making each one effective and reliable. By practicing how to CAD these common systems before the season, students will be comfortable modeling them during the season. Additionally, we plan to rework this stage to have an iterative build season-like progression, meaning students will first CAD an initial design of the mechanism, and then go back and modify it to include additional functionality. For example, students might CAD the shooter as a basic hooded shooter first, and then afterwards go back and add back rollers to simulate prototyping feedback that might happen during build season. As everyone knows, the first robot you CAD is not the one you take to competition. As the course progresses, each stage becomes more open-ended to encourage creative problem solving and independent design. Stage 3 introduces full robot design approaches, such as block modeling, to help students understand how to plan and structure an entire robot from the ground up. In stage 4, students apply advanced techniques from the design handbook to a fully open-ended project, allowing them to integrate everything they've learned into a complete design. Additionally, FRCDesign.org is also a collection of mechanism examples to draw inspiration from. As the saying goes, steal from the best, invent the rest. These examples are primarily sourced from the community and include detailed write-ups along with links to full CAD models. FRCDesign.org also serves as an FRC-specific Onshape reference. It outlines best practices for working in Onshape and includes a collection of useful feature scripts and configurable parts. We aim to provide detailed descriptions and tutorials for each of these tools to help teams use them most effectively. FRCDesign.org is also a design handbook. This is currently a work in progress, CAD agnostic one-stop shop for FRC design knowledge. It'll cover everything from materials, fasteners to actuators and mechanisms, and more. We've also been working on another major project, FRC Design Lab, which launched in beta just before the 2025 season. Let me ask, how many of you have used MKCAD this season? Chances are, if you use Onshape, you've used MKCAD. However, when designing the FRC Design learning course, we ran into some issues when integrating MKCAD. The current MKCAD library has struggled to keep up with the rapidly expanding FRC ecosystem. What started as a manageable collection has grown into a maze of parts that overwhelms new students and slows down experienced designers. And so, FRC Design Lab was rebuilt from the ground up as a modern successor to MKCAD. In fact, if you use MKCAD this season, you've already been using some of FRC Design Lab. All of the MKCAD electronics tabs currently pull from the new library already. By starting fresh, we've been able to implement consistent standards across the entire library. Intuitive organization, more configurable and simplified models, accurate mass and material properties, standardized naming conventions, and proper categorization, all designed to help you find exactly what you need. Now, to best focus our efforts, we've set some limitations in scope. FRCDesign.org likely won't be a fabrication guide, software guide, or non-Onshape CAD guide. And additionally, based on feedback from previous experiences with other FRC resources, we are avoiding becoming a general external resource hub. This helps us maintain ownership for consistency and ensures everything stays high quality. Next, Kelly's going to talk about why you should use FRCDesign.org.
Yeah, so we'll get into a few case studies. I'll use my own team, 1778 Chill Out, as an example. So in 2023, kind of did poorly at first, but slowly improved due to schedule priorities and understanding what to prioritize in the season, right? In the 2023 off season, we came across the community that FRCDesign.org eventually came out of, and the students were able to learn a lot more about the design process and specific design styles. A lot of really specific design knowledge was able to come out of that. And so that led to 2024, where we ranked pretty highly. We're able to get to Worlds and performed pretty well at Worlds too. So they were able to design a very simple but very well executed robot within 2.5 weeks and performed very well. And then later that year, our design lead did a recad of the 2023 robot, aiming to learn and practice some new skills. So you can see kind of the difference in design style, but also in execution between the two. And then getting into 2025, with FRCDesign.org being kind of newly developed over the 2024 summer, we were able to train many of our new members with the website. So that allowed them to learn enough about CAD and FRC engineering to be able to contribute significantly to the in-season design with not even a build season of experience yet. I know the intake, I think some of the end effector, some of the drivetrain were all contributed significantly by new members. And it kind of helped us train them at their own pace, so the more experienced members and mentors could focus their efforts on teaching some more advanced stuff. Kind of another case study, 3863 Pantherbotics. They went unpicked at both of their regional events last year. They didn't really have the knowledge about good workflow, and it made the process really time-consuming and frustrating, even though they were using CAD, right? They ended up having very, very little time to actually test and program the robot. So any time that they did up having to wasn't that useful because the mechanisms weren't able to be precisely controlled. There was like wobble and backlash, right? The handling of the game piece also wasn't great because prototyping wasn't able to be properly integrated. In the off season, they found FRCDesign.org and 2 of their members learned a ton from there, took the time to practice, do practice mechanisms and some cadathons over the summer. And this year they were able to get their robot assembled, wired, and programmed for a week 0 practice event. They've had an incredibly successful season, are doing pretty well in Newton so far. And they were able throughout the season to add a deep climb, an algae intake, and a ground coral intake, just because of how easily they were able to understand the workflow and adjust the CAD. But yeah, these are just a few case studies, but we've seen this happen to a lot of teams, and it's been really inspiring.
Hello. So some of the best teams in the world also use FRC design. So some examples, which you may have known: 2910, Jack and the Bot, and Team 4414, High Tide. 2910, who is currently ranked 1 in the world in EPA, heavily uses FRCDesign.org in their curriculum, and it's a core reason that they were able to involve their students in designing all the mechanisms on their robot in an extremely successful season. On the other hand, you might have known of High Tide. We worked with High Tide pretty heavily in the off season. They ran and beta tested a lot of our initial curriculum, and based on feedback, we were able to get their entire team through FRCDesign.org. Some of our stage 1 curriculum is actually based on their current training practices. And through this, it allowed them to not only design 1 robot, but 2 robots and rebuild their robot for worlds. And now we have world-class design education for everyone for free. So how can you use FRCDesign.org? For mentors, students, or leads, the way that you approach using the course is slightly different, right? So if you're a student, you might use it to learn. For a mentor, maybe it's for training. But here's how you can use it. So stand up if you're a mentor. Hello. All right. Now sit down if you're a design CAD mentor. Hello. I mean, there's still 2 of you. Hello. Anyway, for those that, you can sit down now. So for those who aren't a design CAD mentor, but are a non-technical mentor, which is the 2 of you, FRCDesign.org is actually especially important to you. And if any of you are also here, your non-technical mentors may also be interested. Because in the flow of like build season and improving your team, knowing design and knowing how the robot design process works, what parts you need to manufacture, or how the season flows, what needs to get ordered, what needs to be fabricated. That's all impacted by design. So by going through the learning course as a non-technical mentor, that allows you to have a stronger understanding of how your team works and build a stronger team. For design mentors, it's also pretty important. It allows for you to reduce the amount. If you've ever been like familiar with doing lectures as a design mentor or a design lead, you might be familiar with students kind of just getting bored. Like they go on their phones, and then after like 30 minutes of lecturing, they all get bored, and then they just forget everything, right? And it just kind of sucks. So by going through the learning course and using the learning course as your curriculum, we can keep our students engaged. So instead of these long lectures, students can be working on their own, at their own pace, at their own level, right? And as a mentor, you can focus on helping the students that need it the most. So they stay engaged, and you can flip the classroom, keep things interesting, and raise the floor for your entire team. We have an educator's guide, and the educator's guide will also exist to help you understand how to actually use FRCDesign.org as an educator. So, for the students out there, a good amount of you were probably self-taught, right? I don't know. FRC design just happens to be one of those things that usually you grind through trial and error. You find random resources to learn. I don't know if maybe some of you have watched like my YouTube videos. I make CAD tutorials occasionally, or you just messed around until something worked. And for those who haven't learned robot design, get a drink of water real quick. design happens to be one of the best ways to do and impact your team. And it can often be intimidating, but FRC Design guides you and helps you make your life a lot easier in terms of learning design for the first time. And by designing strong robots, you can impact your team significantly more than you could through other means. We also have frameworks based on current research on how to improve your ability at robot design. So typically, you kind of do things randomly, but there's a lot of research out there that shows by thinking about how you learn and how you approach learning, you can reflect on how you behave and improve a lot faster. So we have these embedded within the course on how to improve. And by doing that, not only can you use the course as a resource, you can use it as a learning framework in order to improve past the course. And you'll need that if you want to do well this season. And honestly, you can't really just learn design on your own. You can't just grind through the learning course or like slap your kids through it and hopefully they're good at design by the end. You still need a community, right? So the support network is really important. For those that have senior designers or mentors, utilize those. Ask them for help. Get them to walk you through any questions and appreciate them. But if you don't have mentorship, you can rely on the community. So one of the major communities out there is David's Design Server. I don't know if you've heard about that. That's a pretty large design community, which you can get help and feedback from some of the best designers in the world for free. From formal design reviews, quick help, and just random discussion, you can get access to high quality design help, and that is the community that FRC Design is based on. So as a student lead, life is pretty hard, right? So not only are you probably responsible for designing the robot and integrating everything and figuring everything out, you have to balance managing your other CAD numbers, doing training in the off season, and also just like doing homework, right? Or like having a life. You can't just do CAD all the time. So FRC Design allows us to do that. Top-down design allows us to have a workflow that allows us to engage our CAD team and integrate a full robot so that students can be working on individual subsystems, have a master sketch or block CAD to refer to, and then integrate everything smoothly without having to worry about micromanaging everyone. So your life is easier and you can get a little bit more sleep. We can simplify our design training so that instead of having to lecture everyone like as a mentor, you can have people work through FRCDesignorg and you can help students individually while you can focus on learning design yourself and raising the ceiling for yourself. So finally, we have accessibility. By making design more accessible, you can have more students doing design on your team, which means that you have more time for yourself, like I said, and more design learns in the season is always great. Be good, right? So let's talk about the future. So, see next slide. For FRC Design Lib, we hope to finish this transition from MKCAD to FRC Design Lib by the end of the summer. And that should give teams enough time to get used to the new environment and transition. If you're interested in beta testing, we have a link posted in Chief Delphi. All right. For stage one of the major goals with the website was that number one, you do not have to go out of the site. And number two, and because of that, stage one currently violates that rule because we currently use the Learning Center to go out. They learn CAD out there, and then they go back in, and then they go back to stage one. And the issue of this, even though we absolutely love the Learning Center, and it's great, and the resources are great, it's not very engaging because it's not very FRC relevant. So we plan on substituting the learning course with our own material, which we've already tested on mentors and students in beta testing, and you might have seen that in Chief Delphi, with a FRC-focused material, which is also designed to optimize improvement in key skills as fast as possible based on research. for a smoother learning and course experience. So we're also presenting some of the work at ASCE, which is a learning research for education conference, but that's besides the point. For stage 2, you might notice if you've already gone through stage 2, I don't know how many of you have done it. I don't know, raise your hand if you went through stage 2. Wow, there's a few of you. All right. You might have noticed that if you switch between stage 1 and stage 2, that like the stage 2 exercises are a little bit weird in the fact that they feel outdated compared to stage 1. Like there's no origin cube. Some of the CAD is a little bit messy. We plan on updating stage 2 so it's up to our standards and make it flow a lot easier, which will make your future life easier for other students. And we plan on reducing a little bit of the hand-holding and update the progression that simulates the build season. So if we have a shooter, instead of just going straight to the backspin rollers that you can see here, you might start with a shooter that does not have backspin rollers. You'll design that all through, and then afterwards, we'll add the rollers and then simulate the build season through that. For stage 3 and beyond, we plan on introducing full robot design. So as of right now, students are familiar with just doing individual mechanisms or doing individual parts with some design concepts. Stage 3 goes straight to full robot design and assumes that you're familiar with that. So at this point, you're designing a full robot, you're doing full master sketches, you're doing all this advanced integration that typically takes forever, and we compress it in a way that allows you to transition quickly and live this process. And we plan to get this done potentially by the fall, and hopefully that by that time, students will be able to go through stage 3 and then have that ready for the season. So we also have the design handbook. So the design handbook, if you've heard about it, is an ongoing project to build a technical reference for FRC. So instead of having to go outside Chief Delphi and other sources and look through everything, right? You can just look at the design handbook as you design and just have that reference up while you CAD and be able to understand and apply design concepts quickly. This is community driven. But due to the wide range of topics, we will still need help. We need help from the community. So handing this off to Jonathan, we'll go and talk about it.
So FRCDesignorg would not be where it is today without the help of all of our contributors. As the project continues to grow, we'd like to invite experienced individuals to contribute to the website. This could include submitting mechanism examples, adding to the design handbook, supporting CAD development for FRCDesignorg, or even helping with website backend. If you're interested, please fill out the Google form on the QR code. We would love to get in touch. I'm going to transition away from this slide, but the QR code will be on the final slide. And we'd also like to thank all of the amazing contributors listed here. This project has had during its short year of development. The site definitely would not be where it is today without all of our contributors' help, and maybe some of you will also help contribute to it as it grows. And now we'd like to open up the floor to some Q&A and also thank FabWorks and West Coast Products for helping support the website. Thank you, everyone.